Hello and welcome to Simple Country Place. I have 4 easy meal ideas for you today. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Please subscribe, welcome, and enjoy. So the first thing I'm making is like a pork chop bake in like a gravy situation. So I am putting that can of cream of chicken soup in a casserole dish, and then I'm just adding some water, just right from in the can, dumping that in, mixing that around a little bit, trying to get those two things to mix together. And then I will be adding some chicken bouillon cubes to this. I think I added 2. Just for some more flavor. And the only other thing I added was pepper. So super easy. So to that, I'm adding 3 boneless pork chops, just right in there, and I like shoved them down a little bit to make sure the gravy was, or the sauce was covering them for the most part. And then I covered this with tin foil and threw it in my oven for probably like 25 minutes until the pork chops were done. Serve that with some egg noodles with some of that extra sauce and a side salad. It was super tender, my husband said, which is hard sometimes to do with pork chops. The second thing I'm making is what I call like a chicken and rice casserole. As you can see, I have cream and chicken soup again, and I will be adding sour cream to that and mixing that together. So my husband actually does not like rice, but he does like cauliflower rice, which is a win anyway because it's obviously healthier for you. So I steamed that just in a bag, added that in, and then for seasonings, I'm adding pepper, minced onion, and garlic powder. And you could certainly add like regular onion, just diced up, but I didn't this day. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. For the chicken, I had threw some chicken thighs in a crock pot with some bouillon before I left for the day, and then so those were done when I came home, and I just shredded them up in my crock pot. So obviously now I'm adding the shredded chicken, and I think it was 3 chicken thighs. And that's just, I've used chicken breast before with this, and I just had thighs on hand, so that's what I used. And then to that, I'm also going to be adding California veggies that I also just steamed in the bag prior to adding them. So some more cauliflower, and then broccoli and carrots, of course. I add cheese to just about everything, so I am adding shredded cheese and then mixing that all together. So I transfer that into that sprayed casserole dish. And then to the top, of course, I'm going to add more cheese because cheese is delicious. And then I crushed up some crackers. I think I used either Ritz or Townhouse. You can use whatever you have, but crushed up some crackers, melted some butter, and then put the crushed up crackers and then drizzled the butter on top. And then I covered that and threw it in my oven. Like the veggies were cooked. The cauliflower rice was already cooked or steamed, both of those. So really, you just gotta like let the flavors come together in the oven. I don't really want, like I don't know, probably 15 minutes or so. The cheese will get melty, the crackers will get like crispy on top. Yeah, and I serve this with just biscuits, like canned biscuits, and my husband actually liked like, I don't know, deconstructed chicken pot pie situation where he like opened the biscuit and then put the casserole like on top of it. And even, yeah, my nephew liked this too, so he's not a huge vegetable person, which I feel like there's a fair amount of vegetables in that, but. And I forgot to get a shot before my husband actually started eating, so this is his plate with bites taken out of it. So on this night, I am making, for the side, I'm making smashed potatoes, which is what I'm starting here. I obviously just have some potatoes washed and just piercing them. I'm putting them on that baking sheet and then I'm going to brush them with oil. I thought I had grabbed the vegetable oil, or the olive oil, but I think it was the vegetable oil, so whatever, I just went with that. Brushed them with oil and then salt, and then put those in the oven to just bake until they were soft. So with those potatoes, I'm making like mini meatloafs. So I have an egg in there and some ground beef, and I'm adding breadcrumbs. I just use panko because that's what I had. But for seasonings, I'm adding minced onion, garlic powder, salt, pepper, and parsley. And for like, I make, the meatloaf frequently. Occasionally. And I like to try like different flavor combinations. So this one I'm making into like a bacon cheeseburger type situation. And so I mix all that up, and then once that's mixed, I will be adding the bacon cheeseburger flavors. For those flavors, I added ketchup and mustard, and then bacon bits, which I just use the ones like that come bacon bits, for like salads, but it would certainly be good to use like actual crumbled bacon, and of course shredded cheese. And then mix that all together, and then I formed it into little balls, essentially, little muffin balls to fit into my muffin tin. So I, of course, sprayed, and then I'm going to put those in and then spray a piece of tin foil so it doesn't stick and cover it, and put those in the oven. And I have a really hard time, like I watch, I want to make sure everything's done, so I checked this frequently to see how it's coming. So when those were like cooked, took them back out, added that glaze situation, which was just ketchup and mustard mixed together, and then I'm adding more bacon bits on top and of course more cheese, and then putting them back in the oven uncovered so that glaze can do its thing and the bacon bits will crisp up, and then like the cheese obviously melts. So back to the potatoes. Once those were cooked, super easy. I just used my potato masher to smash them down. And then I threw a tab of butter on each one of them and put them back in the oven. And then like the butter will melt, the edges will get all crispy and delicious. And then I served this with a side salad for vegetables. And my nephew loves meatloaf, so this was his favorite. And my husband liked it too, but not as much as him. So the last meal idea is super easy. Crescent roll wrapped brat situations. So just a tube of crescent rolls. And so I had 2 brats left in this open package, so I wanted to use those first. But of course that wasn't enough food. We had a friend over, 2 of my nephews were here. So I did those 2 brats, and then with the remaining, I had like little smokies that I wrapped for like mini ones. And I mean, they didn't really prefer one over the other. They were both good. But for the mini ones, I did have to cut like the triangles. You'll see me cutting the triangles like in half because it was just too much dough for the little guys. So with that, I made homemade mac and cheese. So I have, like I already cooked the noodles, but I have butter melting now. Those are set aside. Butter melting, I added flour for the roux, and I always make mac and cheese the same. I like it this way, half and half to thicken it up. And then for the seasonings, I always add ground mustard, cayenne pepper, and parsley. I don't add salt because the cheese that I use is, in my opinion, salty enough. So with that, for the cheese, I'm adding like the Aldi version of Velveeta, the off-brand of Velveeta cheese melt. And I just eyeball it, take some hunks, throw it in there, depends on how much I'm making. And then I stir that around and babysit it while the cheese melts. Sometimes I will use I'll throw some shredded cheese in there too. I did not this day. But once the cheese is all melted, I add my noodles back in, and it's always super good. And then I just serve that with some cooked broccoli that I had seasoned up. Thank you so much for watching. Please come back for more videos.